Buenas noches, todo el mundo. As you can tell, my Spanish is very, very, very poor, so I hope you do not mind me speaking in English to all of you this evening. I understand I'm keeping you both from enjoying your dinner as well as a robot dance, so I'll try to keep my comments and my feedback, or my comments and my discussion short and sweet. And I will tell you that you'll be happy to know that the robot show will not be me trying to imitate or do a robot dance here on stage. That's the last thing you would want to see. So, as she mentioned, my name is Josh Rice, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Microsoft's Worldwide Public Sector Division. And one of my responsibilities at Microsoft is to work with our government customers around the world, as well as many of our partners, like many of you in the room, and our Microsoft sales teams around the world, to understand what are the requirements that our customers have of our products, and to make sure, and then turn around and work with our product groups, be it Office, Windows, Xbox, and every group in between, to make sure that they're building the next versions of our products with our public sector customers' requirements in mind. One of the greatest parts about my job is, first, I get to travel to amazing cities like Santiago, and just this week I've been in New York City, I've been in Atlanta, Buenos Aires, and Santiago, so it's been a very busy week. But the other great thing about my role is I get to see the impact and the change that is happening in public sector and government customers around the world. The government services and how governments are delivering services to citizens is dramatically changing around the world. Citizens in every country, doesn't matter if it's in Chile, the United States, Botswana, South Africa, or Egypt, are demanding more of government. Demanding more services, they're demanding more investments in healthcare, and they're demanding more investments in education. The governments are being required to even more so look at how they can protect and preserve their precious natural resources. Citizens are demanding, and in some cases, and are leveraging technology to engage with governments in many markets around the world, or countries around the world. And in many cases, they're actually using these technologies not only to engage, but in some cases to criticize governments and how they're performing or providing services to governments around the world. And lastly, as we heard earlier, there is a vast amount of information that is being created and shared, both by government as well as by citizens. And it's up to government to understand, what do we do with this information? How do we protect this information? How do we dispose of this information? And how do we make this data useful and actionable for citizens in delivering applications and services to those particular citizens? It's here when we look at the big impact and what's happening in government around the world, where it's very interesting to look at what's happening in technology. When we look at IT and the big information technology trends that are impacting all organizations, government or businesses around the world, there's 4 big trends that are impacting most organizations around the world. The first is mobile devices. Every one of you has a smartphone, and if you were not enjoying your salad course right now, you'd probably have your smartphone out, checking email, and looking at information on your phone. There's over 1 billion smartphones around the world. And when you add in all of the tablets and PCs and phablets, there's a new term that's out these days, there's a massive number of devices that are out there. And this creates both a challenge as well as a significant opportunity for governments to look at how they can deliver new services to citizens across these devices. Second, how we all communicate, collaborate with our friends, family members, colleagues, or loved ones is dramatically changed over the last couple of years. Every one of you probably has or leverages some form of social media every single day. It could be Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You could be using Skype to make phone calls. In fact, there's actually 2 billion tweets per week, just to give you an interesting statistic to show you how much these services are used. And interesting to note, over 1/3 of all international phone calls actually goes through Skype today. So it gives you an idea of how quickly social media and these communication services are dramatically changing around the world. Third, data. when you combine all of the devices that we all have, plus the sensors that government and organizations are deploying, along with the social media services, what do you have? A massive amount of data. And the big opportunity and the challenge is, what do we do with this data? And the opportunity is, how can we analyze and benefit and make that data useful? And the fourth big trend, and the one I really want to spend the next couple of minutes talking with you about, is cloud computing. How IT services are delivered to commercial organizations, governments, is dramatically changing around the world. Cloud services are what makes our smartphones, our tablets, light up. The services we use and connect from those devices are essentially cloud services. Those social media services are cloud services at the end of the day that we're using to communicate and collaborate with people around the world. And the enterprise applications that we use in our work environments, our productivity applications, our line of business applications, ERP applications, these things are increasingly moving or shifting to a cloud computing model. The reason that we're seeing such a rise in cloud computing is very simple. First off, it's all about lowering cost. So how can all of our organizations and how all of us can we work together to help our customers save money at the end of the day? When you move to a cloud computing model, it's all about reducing the upfront investment you need to make and moving to more of a pay-as-you-go, pay-as-you-consume, or pay-as-you-use model. Second, scalability. The ability for your IT systems and applications to scale up, scale out, based on demand, based on usage, and not having to build an application for peak usage that then sits unused for a majority of the time, becomes very, very valuable to an organization. Third, it allows you to realize true efficiencies in how you're delivering services, not only to your department, your agency, but across multiple government agencies. And you're able to pool resources and share applications and services across those organizations. And lastly, flexibility or innovation. Cloud really changes the way and how you can think about how you build, develop, test, and ultimately deploy and use new applications in the new world. Now, if you look at what's happened just this year, we're off to an amazing start in 2013. And when I say we, all of us in the room, in the industry in general. So far, IDC and Gartner and Forrester estimate that around 40% of new applications that are developed by many of you in the room will be developed using some form of cloud. And many of the new companies, the startup companies around the world, are what we're calling cloud-born. They no longer use or deploy their own technology. They use cloud from the day one when they're building their business. Second, 90% of CIOs around the world will, by the end of this year, use some form of cloud computing. It could just be for development or test purposes, or it could be for actually running key line of business applications. And lastly, 100% of large organizations, be it businesses or governments, are going to be using cloud computing in some form or fashion by the end of this year. Now, the interesting thing is that whenever I talk to government customers around the world, there's always three key questions or concerns that come up when they're considering the direction or the model of cloud services they're going to use. The first, and probably the most important, is security. Is my information secure? Who are the people that have access or managing that information? Where is my data stored? And this is even more prevalent, and we've seen this become an even bigger issue over the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of questions around the security of my information. Second, privacy. If I move to a cloud computing model, will I violate any privacy requirements that I may have in place in my town, in my country, or within my organization? And third, reliability. Or I actually like to call this third one the abilities: reliability, interoperability, scalability. Is the cloud service scalable? Will it allow me to interoperate and leverage my existing applications? Allow me to move information into it and move data out? And is it reliable at the end of the day? Will the service continue to be there, always on, when I need it? Now, when you take those three key focus areas, what we're seeing, and this has been validated not just by Microsoft, but by other industry players that are looking and investing in cloud computing, there's really three types of cloud computing decisions that governments are looking at. The first is establishing a public, many of the developed countries, US, UK, Canada, Australia, the Nordic countries, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, are moving to a public cloud model. And they're establishing a public cloud framework that providers like Microsoft and Amazon and others can meet if they agree to the security and privacy requirements of that particular country. Governments can consume or purchase cloud services from those organizations. Again, this first scenario on the left is really in the developed countries. The second scenario is the hybrid scenario, or the government-sponsored cloud, where the government may have specific, strict security and privacy requirements. Their data cannot leave a particular country. But the government themselves does not want to be in the business of actually delivering the cloud service. So this is where they partner with industry. They partner with a telco, or an SI, or systems integrator, or a hoster, or a company in that country to provide cloud services to government customers within that country. Good examples of this would be in France, or in Italy, or in Germany. Or, for example, in Italy, Telecom Italia is the cloud computing provider for all of government in Italy. And it's because there are requirements that the data in Italy stays within Italian shores. And lastly, there's the private cloud scenario, where government themselves actually build and run and turn around and provide cloud services to other government customers. This is really more evolving or happening in our, what I would call the emerging markets. South Africa, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Zambia, Costa Rica. These governments are actually standing up government agencies who will provide cloud services to all government customers within those particular countries. And the great thing is, at Microsoft, we feel we can help governments in all three of these scenarios. And we feel there's an opportunity for us to work with all of you and many of our partners in the room to provide these types of cloud services. Whatever scenario Chile or our customers would fall under, to provide these types of cloud services to our customers. So in closing, because I want to make sure that everybody can enjoy their dinner, you can enjoy the robot show in a couple of minutes. Really, when you look at the cloud computing model for your organization, or for what the cloud policy is going to look like for Chile, again, it's going to come down to those three important questions or concerns that every one of our customers has around the world. Is my data secure? Can I protect the privacy of our citizens or businesses or customers' information? And is that service reliable, interoperable, and scalable? And we feel at Microsoft, in the many examples and the customers we're working with around the world, not only can we provide reliable, secure, private, protected cloud services directly for our customers, we also partner with many organizations, like many of you in the room, to provide those services in country, both directly to government or working with government customers to provide, so they can provide cloud services in those particular countries. So with that, I really appreciate the opportunity for Microsoft and myself to first visit Chile and Santiago, and for sharing with you some very quick highlights of what we're seeing around the world, both in IT and how cloud computing is impacting government organizations around the world. With that, thank you very much.